for us to go in there.
So now I'm just giving you a paper copy.
Thank you.
So now they don't have a CO on their building, and they have to meet in the parking lot.
Right. Yeah, I saw that.
It's bad.
Did you get it? See if you can.
Oh, I haven't opened it. Let me see.
Because the link is funny looking.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Yeah, I just.
Law were discussed in closed meeting to which this certification resolution applies, and 2, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the New Kent County School Board.
Thank you, Ms. McBeath. Do I hear a motion to approve the certification of the closed session?
I move we approve the certification of closed session.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
A vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. The closed session is accepted. And so now I want to welcome everyone to our regular school board meeting this evening. I appreciate everyone being here in attendance. And as we get going here, if we could stand and for the pledge. Keep turning around.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll start this evening with our regular session in terms of recognitions, and our school spotlight goes to Dr. Nichols.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Meade. Board members, today marks the first day of the fourth market period, and what an incredible first day it is, or has been. So today was a very exciting day. We had a special visit from the Virginia Department of Education, which I'll talk about in a second, and some incredible news, first ever in New Kent. So we'll jump right into this school spotlight. My drive something you got. Oops. So we did have a visit from the Virginia Department of Education. Dr. Lisa Coons was named the new state superintendent a couple of weeks ago, appointed by Governor Glenn Youngkin. Today was her very first day on the job, and on her first day on the job, she spent it with us in New Kent. So she spent about a half a day with us. She toured the building. She observed our career and technical education courses in action. So we had a lot of fun. You can see those classrooms. Culinary up to the left, electronics to the right, we were the laser cutter down on the bottom right, and then this was the marketing class where they were having a debate about all things code of conduct, which was a great debate back and forth related to social media use and what the district, what they believe the district should and shouldn't have oversight of. So ignore the picture on the far left. Those are LED glasses that one of our kids made, with just more pictures from Dr. Coon's visit, and also a familiar person in the top right, that is Dr. Jeremy Rayleigh. On Friday, he was the Goochland superintendent. Today is his first day as chief of staff for the Virginia Department of Education. So we had the top 2 people in the Virginia Department of Education spending the day in New Kent. So really great start for her. We also had an assembly, which a lot of folks attended. It's hard to throw a surprise and involve hundreds of people, but that's what we did today. So we participated in assembly. Former superintendent Dave Myers was also here with us. We had school board members, New Kent Education Foundation. So turn the podium over to Dr. Coons for the special announcement, which was a recognition. So John Augenbach, who is the CTE lead teacher at New Kent High School, was named our division teacher of the year back in December. So he beat out the other 4 schools. We found out about a month ago that he was named the first ever Region Teacher of the Year for New Kent. So Region Teacher of the Year has been around a long time, but we have some heavyweight school divisions in Region 1, and New Kent won Region Teacher of the Year. So he is one of 8 Region Teachers of the Year. He will go on May 18th, interview and apply and try to become the state teacher of the year.
Dr. Nichols,
Yes.
can you name some of the districts in Region 1, just to give us an
Sure,
idea?
so Chesterfield, Henrico, Hanover, Richmond, Goochland, Powhatan, Clinton Heights, Sussex, Surrey, and Charles City, just you go on and on. So a lot of people were in the loop on this recognition, but Mr. Augenbach was not in the loop on this recognition. So several calls to him Friday and over the weekend, because I believe he had a sick child. It's like, we have to have you here on Monday. You have to be. So we enlisted our cheerleaders and our band. We had a surprise banner.
We did,
You name it. So I want to thank Allison Anderson. She really was our point of contact with the Virginia Department of Education. So we were able to surprise Mr. Augenbach. So you'll see throughout social media for the next few weeks, the Department of Education, our social media sites, and the high school as well. Just a lot of nice sound clips and videos. He did an incredible job of spontaneously speaking about his passion for the work he does. So we're very excited. I've scouted out 6 of the other 7 Region Teachers of the Year. I haven't seen the 7th one yet. We stand a pretty good chance. So John Augenbach not only leads his classroom, he's also built a program that we had to add another teacher. So Mr. Whitehead joined us this year to do a second piece of it. He also works with OB Union to create other CTE teachers. He just embodies who we are. So we're very excited about that. So really excited to announce officially that John Augenbach is the Region Teacher of the Year. Very impressed in the state superintendent's visit with us. First, for her to pick us. But second, after that, she didn't just stay for the ceremony. She came early and we walked classrooms and talked to teachers and talked to kids. And then for another 2 hours, we went to New Kent Elementary and we went into literacy classrooms. We went to all classrooms and looked at literacy. The Virginia Literacy Act is a big initiative of the Virginia Department of Education. So she got to lay eyes on how we're implementing those and talking through those. So very smart, very personable. Very excited that she got to spend her first day with us. And feel sorry for the other 130 plus school divisions, because we set a pretty high bar with the band and student interns and you name it today. So just a great way to start the 4th market period.
When will they make the decision about the state teacher?
So I believe the state announcement will be May 18th. We'll be up in Richmond for that. So there's an interview process. And so Mr. Augenbach will do quite a few things for the state over the next year, whether he becomes State Teacher of the Year or not. He'll serve on advisories, and it concludes with a reception at the Governor's Mansion, which will be exciting, and I believe that is where the announcement will actually take place.
That's really exciting.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good for him.
It was a good day.
Yep, so it was a good day.
Thank you, Dr. Nichols, and thank you for all of the support staff in our division that helped make that happen today for our state officials. Moving on, our next item is the recognition of April as the month of the military child. Mr. Miller?
Yeah, Mr. Reed and members of the board, April is a month of military child across the state, and these are children whose parents are in the military, deployed or not. And so our graphic here, celebrating children who bloom where they're planted. So these are students who, a lot of times they move around because of deployments and things like that, but recognize the sacrifice that their family makes of their time as well as their energies to protect us. And so April, we acknowledge that. We do a lot of things throughout the year to acknowledge our military families. And so during the month of April, we do some announcements and stuff. And then this coming Thursday, I believe April 20th, is Purple Day. And so everybody is wearing purple to celebrate those families.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Next item is the recognition of April as Autism Awareness Month. Mr. Dermeyer?
Yes. Good evening, Mr. Chairman Mead, Dr. Nichols, members of the board. Yes, April is Autism Awareness Month, National Autism Awareness Month. What I particularly like about this graphic is it speaks to what autism is and what autism is not. So autism impacts around 1 in 58 children. It is not a mental or emotional illness, and it is a developmental disability, and it is not caused by poor parenting or trauma impacted on the child. And just to share with the division leaders, out of our 416 students with disabilities, we currently serve 50 students that are identified as having an educational handicap of or disability of autism. Just share that level number with you. Again, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dermeyer, for that recognition. And then recognition of April School Library Month. Mr. Miller?
Yeah, Mr. Mead, members of the board, our school libraries are a huge asset for us. They provide literacy materials both for students to use as well as teachers, and they're a core central resource for our buildings. The teachers provide activities for students, and the librarians do for students as well as teachers, as well, and are a source of research. So these are our 5 media specialists: Rachel Stamper at New Kent Elementary School, Margaret Carmine at George Watkins, Karen Stein at Quinton Elementary School, Mary Mordecai at New Kent Middle School, and Tracy McKinney at the high school. And as I said, they are an immense resource for both the students as well as the teachers, providing activities and resources. So we're thankful for their work.
Question,
Yes.
Mr. Miller, from the previous, for the military children. Do we know how many we have?
Approximately 170 of our students.
Okay, thank you.
Question? Our 4th item is the consent agenda. Is that board members, by now you've had the opportunity to review the items listed on the consent agenda, including the minutes of the previous meetings, the bills and the payroll, monthly financials, and the superintendent's recommendation regarding personnel and student matters. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Do I hear a second?
I second.
Any discussion? If there's no discussion, we'll take a vote. All in favor of approving the consent agenda as presented, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes, no nays. The consent agenda is approved. Our next item is new business, and to present the Summer of More program under Essential Goal 1, Mr. Miller.
I'm gonna sit over here because I have a couple more slides for this one. So the last few summers, as you're aware, we have had a summer school program that we refer to as Summer of More, and meaningful opportunities for real world engagement. And this is a summer enrichment remediation program that is for students K through 12. And so just wanted to announce that all the details are sort of finalized, and we're moving on those. So here's some of the dates, times that'll be going on. It's in July, and it runs from July 10th to the 27th. It is a Monday through Thursday half-day program, and we have the middle and high school will be meeting at New Kent High School, and it's about 3 hours a day, so about 7:55 to 10:55, and then elementary school is 9 to 12:15. High school will also have its traditional remediation and recovery courses, and then we are still hoping to be able to field an economics personal finance course for new credits this summer as well. Those start a little bit early because for a high school to get a credit, you need more hours. And so those will be a week earlier. So wanted to go through just some of the different offerings because we have some really great offerings going on. Our elementary program, which is being run by two of our teachers who are serving as admin interns. And so it's Sadie Malago from Newton Elementary School and Melanie Basola from Clinton Elementary School have teamed up, and they're a great team working together on getting that program going. So these are just some of the classes you can see here. Everything from some foreign language to some STEM classes, sewing, crafting, can't read a lot, so learn reading, and which all of these incorporate some sort of literacy, some sort of math. We even have one of our talented teachers from New Kent Elementary School teaching beatboxing, and he's quite the talent, so I'm excited to go in and look at that one. But so we have a total there, 18, I believe it's 18 courses that students can choose from, and they sent home flyers with every student in elementary last week, and so those students all got those, and registrations were just flying all week. And so we're excited about the number of students we have to serve there. And jump up to the next one. There we go. So middle school, high school, a few less courses, but still we've got to serve a lot of students. Again, here, everything from Hathaway Homesteaders, which is a repeat course where they actually learn about different skills that you might use as a homesteader, and everything. They make soap, they learn how to knit and things like that, and then you get into some crafting, some game design over on the Game Den, and then one of our teachers is really into Japanese writing, and so they do some manga in there, and they read, I believe, write some, and then learn about Japanese culture in there. Seek, Search, and Survive is another one that's back again. That's actually a team of teachers. Ms. Cedar Home, Ms. Hodges do an amazing job there going over survival skills, and they actually learn how to build and put out fires and build shelters, and those shelters then get stored by staff from around the division who come into that. And then Denim Exploration is our high school summer of war class. Ms. Musselman's teaching that, and they're learning all about how to use denim in art, and they're getting donated jeans and using those to make art. So looking for exciting summer this summer. Yeah.
How many students can we serve in these programs?
So there you've got about 15 students per class, and so approximately 250 at the elementary level, and then another 150 or so at the secondary, so about 400 students.
So I have a funding question. Because right now this is ESSER funded, I think.
It is all ESSER funded.
What happens when that expires?
So we've been looking at, is this something we'd be able to continue on and moving forward? We may have to look at putting a fee with it or something. So far, it has been free for all families, but we're hoping to be able to fund as much of that out of the budget as we can.
And transportation's provided, correct?
Transportation's provided. We do serve lunches and breakfast. And for students who get free or reduced lunch during the year, they also get it there, and then other seats for purchase.
Does it fill up?
Yes.
It does.
Yep. And last year it was full. We did not have to turn anyone away.
Well, that was my next
And,
question.
our hope is always that we don't have to turn anyone away, and we didn't have to last year, but we were full.
Okay.
So this is our third year for
This is our
doing
third,
this.
yeah.
Are we seeing any of these innovations creeping over into the regular school year at this point?
Yeah, some of the activities that you see during summer or more, we are seeing them in the classroom. So that's exciting to see.
We also see repeat kids,
Yes.
so we see kids and families connected to the program.
So this is outside of anything that Parks and Rec would do, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we I met with Ms. Turner and Kim Turner, and we talked about their program versus our program, making sure that we both all want our programs to be successful, and so we talked through that, but it's separate. Yeah.
They obviously charge a fee.
But we also provide transportation from
Correct.
Summer More to their program, so for after Summer More care.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
you will begin to see this more into the operating budget moving forward. So these grant funds are beginning to expire, and we've learned a lot, and we'll make some shifts accordingly.
Yep.
So This is the third year we've done some or more. It looks different each year based on that feedback that we receive.
But the summer more, if I heard you correctly, is completely different from the classes remediation classes that students have to take to gain credit, correct?
Correct. These are still somewhat remedial in nature and enrichment in nature. They have some of both, but these are not for credit.
Okay.
Except for the high school
Yeah.
courses are remediation courses for credit.
Yeah, we have set aside courses for that. Yes.
Okay. Good.
I forgot to mention, at our middle school, Renee Montecalvo is one of our interns. She's really heading up that effort there. And then Ave Maria Miller is at the high school. They're doing a great job planning as well.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think it's a really incredible program that we've been able to establish through the pandemic and continue on. So
I would also encourage y'all, if you see the dates there, I'm happy to send y'all a reminder. We'd love to have y'all come by and
see some of that. That's good. Under new business, Mr. Jeremiah, the annual plan for the first read of the essential goals for development, academics, organization, behavioral, and social competency.
Good evening again, Chairman Meade, Dr. Nichols, members of the board. This is the first read for the annual plan for funding of our special education programs under Title 6B, 611, 619. So under the annual plan, there's several things that we're required to do that are driven by Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDA 2004 reauthorization, and the VDOE regulations governing special education programs for children with disabilities. We know that we have to present this plan to the local school board, the superintendent, as well as the Special Education Advisory Committee. It will go before the Special Education Advisory Committee on the 26th of this month, and then back to the board for final approval. There are several parts of the annual plan application, and part of which are the statement of assurances. We need to assure as a division that we provide a free and appropriate public education to our students with disabilities. And those students all do indeed have an individualized education plan that allows for them to receive their services in the most inclusive environment possible with their non-disabled peers, as well as provide practices and guidance that assure that we are preventing the over-identification of individuals under certain disability categories. So those are our statement of assurances that are part of the application. We currently have students that we serve under 12 of the disability categories. The only disability category we currently do not have any students that are receiving services that are with deaf and blindness, but we do serve students under all other disability categories. Additional components of the application include our local jails education program. There's a special section of the application. We do have a regional, there's a Henrico East Regional Jail. Henrico Public Schools provides the services for those students that might have a disability. So for that, we know that we do have a program, but we do not provide the service. Henrico provides that service. Additional component of the application is our maintenance of effort, where we have to assure that we are going to spend the same amount, if not more, for the last year in which we met our maintenance of effort. So each year you need to show that you are putting in at least level funding or more for your students with disabilities. Our proportionate set aside is also a portion of the application where we have to look at those students who are not currently enrolled in the division in the public school setting, but are enrolled as a parentally placed private school or parochial student. And we receive those numbers through our December 1 count, and then appropriate or set aside funds for those students, and reach an agreement with those local providers and how we're going to provide those, what services we're going to provide and the amount that we have to spend, and we've agreed to provide speech language services for those particular students. Our annual spending plan, Title 6B, provides financial assistance to school divisions. This is your school-age students. Right now we're looking at $729,604 for staff benefits and salary. Part 619 is for your early childhood. So the last was 611, this is 619 IDA, and we're looking at partial salary for a early childhood paraprofessional. And that is it. At this point, that's the first read. I know that you received the actual application this evening. So we have to submit to the Department of Education by May 12th. And again, it's going to be shared with the Special Education Advisory Committee April 26th, and then back before you for final approval.
I'll play Ms. Winford's advocacy here of how many students does that encompass within our total population?
So we currently have 420 students. If you take out students that may receive their services through an IEP-driven private day school placement, it's 416 students.
Okay.
And that number is growing.
Yes, it is. That's based on our December 1 count.
Right.
So I think our latest numbers are probably closer to the 430, 440.
So that's something over 10% of our population.
Is that within line with most localities? Do you know that, or?
Or at least on our size.
Yeah, based on size, or is it usually 10% of most populations, do you know? I mean, how do we fall in that category?
Yeah, I would need to look at the numbers again more
Right.
closely, but you generally don't want to look at something over 7%. But we also have not been identified with overrepresentation in any disability category. So I think we're holding steady.
Okay.
And I know this paper copy, is this the same as what we have electronically? Everything's
So
side
if you're
by side?
looking at are you looking at the?
I've got both, I've
annual
got the
plan with
electronic and the paper.
Yeah, this one aligns with the application.
Okay.
The one that looks more like an outline, the Part B 611, yeah, that one aligns with the application.
All right, thank you, Doctor. If there's any more questions?
And this will come back before you, as Mr. Jeremiah said, May 1st
for vote.
for potential approval. So if you have any questions or anything in between, we'll be happy to answer.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to old business. Is that the superintendent's proposed 23-24 budget update? Ms. Morehan?
Yes, Mr. Mead, Dr. Nichols, coming with an update tonight on the budget. And not much has changed since the last time we came to you, just really wanted to finalize and ask for your approval this evening on the recommended budget. The first slide is basically an overview of what we recommended originally with a $2,000 ask, or $2 million ask to the county and a CIP transfer of $100,000. And we did recently get a calc tool, which we were not sure that we would get one on the House Bill 1400 substitute, the skinny budget. And it was about a $32,000 decrease from where we actually are, like in our recommended budget as far as state funding goes. So worst case scenario, let's say we didn't get any additional funding from the state, I still feel like we'd be okay with kind of what we have in our recommended budget. So that's a little bit of good news, I guess.
And just based on what we have to do with the counties, they're still waiting on that state budget. We're looking at June to get that state budget. We still have to present a balanced budget to the county. So what Haney and her team and we've worked on is to present that to you with the worst case scenario in mind so that we can have it potentially approved and then adopted, move forward with contracts and so forth.
So this is the summary of the funding that we're asking for your approval on tonight. You'll notice the reduction from our $2 million ask to be in line with the $600,000 that was allocated in the county budget for the county transfer, and that's in addition to. And then also, they aligned the increase in the CIP for the one-to-one technology initiative. So we gained back an extra $100,000 there. So on the next slide, we'll detail out basically the reductions that were required were 1.3 million. And these are the reductions that we brought to you at our last meeting. The only change is on the second slide, where we really wanted to hold on to our Navy Corps Cadet program. That's something that we've been trying to do for many, many years. So what we did, we looked at our contingency fund, and at the beginning of the budget season, you know, we told you we had that 71,000 reserve there. And so what we did was just shift that over just to hold that Navy Corps Cadet position harmless. But everything else on here is basically exactly what we presented in our last board meeting. So some of the concerns that we have still with these reductions are just maintaining the service levels for staff and students, remaining competitive. I know you've all heard about a 7% that was proposed in both the House and Senate version. Some school divisions are including that in their approved budgets. Some are not. Some, let's see what happens and then see what we can do. We would need probably about an extra $250,000 if something like that came through from the state. Ultimately, later in June, we would have to reissue contracts and do those types of things. But it's really, nobody knows. Nobody's really hearing much. Like I said, with that calc tool being released, that I don't know if that was a sign of what's to come, or if that was just being, helpful to school divisions to know where they stood with the skinny budget, but that's where we are right now. So.
Can I ask a question on the first bullet?
Sure.
Back under concerns? What are we gonna be doing to measure whether or not we're maintaining service levels that we want to?
I think one of the things, I think it's a great question, and one of our concerns is one of the things that we look at is class size. So every fall we bring you a class size report. And specifically the elementary school, working through teacher advisory, they're very excited about the additional staffing that we did last year and able to push down that class size. That's the main reason we had those 3 additional teachers for growth in there, is to continue that push and have the flexibility across the 3 elementary schools. It could be that Quinton needed 2 and New Kent Elementary needed 1, or some sites George Watkins needs them all, depending on just the growth that we continue to see in our schools, was really to kind of stay ahead of that. So that's really the main worry with that. The other piece on the service level is initially we didn't know we'd be able to keep maybe 4 cadets. So that would be 1 less program for our kids to have. But those would be the 2 main things as far as maintaining service level: class size and also course offerings. We are a small school division, but we offer a lot of opportunities for kids, and just making sure that we continue to do that and continue to expand that.
So what are we seeing from folks registering their children for school for next year? Is that still, continuing
So
the?
kindergarten registration started on Friday and continues the next, 3 Fridays? 5, okay. So we try to get an early handle on that piece. That's the biggest unknown, is the number of kindergartners that are coming. But we're seeing it K-12 as far as, not necessarily for next year, but kids still coming in, and we'll be tracking that also.
Another big bullet, and Mr. Dermeyer was just speaking about the maintenance of effort, and to me, this is one of the main things that we really need to be focused on and somewhat concerned about, just making sure that year to year that we're maintaining our required, effort towards our special education programs, and, not adding those types of positions in, especially if we're growing, and then also growing with our special education population. There are 4 tests that you do have to meet. This year, we did not meet one of the 4. We were able to take some measures to basically show the state that we had turnover and things of that nature that equaled certain dollar amounts that allowed us to pass one of those tests. But that is definitely something that we need to be maintaining and watching throughout the year to make sure that we're meeting that, because if not, we lose the funding that Mr. Dermeyer just presented to you that we're requesting, which is a lot of money, $630,000. So we just need to be mindful of that. And then again, just looking at our buildings and our maintenance department and making sure that we're not falling off in maintenance and service of buildings and equipment. Just wanted to take one more look at the capital improvement plan. The only thing that changed, and we pointed it out at our last meeting, was we did increase the 1-to-1 to 200,000. So the total request now is $2,053,285. And then next steps. The county looks to adopt their budget on April 25th, and we are starting to work through contracts, and after we come back and adopt this budget on May 1st, we are looking to issue contracts first week of May to our staff, which is earlier than we've ever done. We're all very excited about that. We hope that that will help us to retain staff, and we're very excited actually to be able to get those out earlier this year. That's huge.
Yeah, about a month earlier than we typically do.
That's
So, and then, so what happens in June? You know, once we have that state number, you know, we'll come back to the table as we do when we receive additional funding. We have no shortage of priorities related to compensation, also additional positions. So I'm quite sure any additional funding we receive, we will line up with those priorities and bring back to you to discuss moving forward.
And the team's committed to look at current vacancies and see are there things that we can shift and continue to do that type of work as well, knowing that we do have higher priorities. And really just trying to focus on every dollar and what we can spend it on, so.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, no, thank you guys for your support.
Yeah, I think we'd all agree. I mean, the real challenges in the current economic climate is, I think we would all agree that everybody is holding out to the very last day before they have to make the hard decision of how to allocate the financial resources of the final budget from the state. And I think that's very frustrating for us, so.
Typically, we have the state number, we're waiting on the county. We've been working for the past couple of years to really continue to partner with the county. So I mean, the county's gonna be done April 25th, calendar-wise. That's incredible. So I mean, a lot of great local work has happened. We're just kind of stuck in this cycle, but moving forward, I think following years, we'll have both of those about the same time, which would be great.
Thank you, Ms. Moorheim, for all of your hard work and your team in making this happen for us as a community. Also under old business, the VSBA policy revisions, the second read. Dr. Nichols.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. B. Board members, you received the first read on these VSBA policy revisions at the last meeting. So there have been no changes since that point in time, mostly legal references changed. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you had in between then and now. The only one that was not connected to VSBA was our fee policy. We do the fee policy every year, and we have that alongside those. One of the things I think is interesting in there is that we removed the AP, Advanced Placement fee. So Secretary of Education, not State Secretary of Education, came out with a press release about lower AP scores, which is interesting because when you pull apart AP test results, we do fewer and fewer AP tests now because we do more and more dual enrollment courses. So you pass dual enrollment, you get the college credit, it transfers a lot easier. We were having so many difficulties with AP, Advanced Placement, and even getting a 3, 4, or 5 passing score, and universities not taking those pieces. So next year, we will actually not have Advanced Placement because we have dual enrollment everywhere we would need to have it, and kids have more opportunities. I see some of our kids shaking their head excited about that, although most of them won't be here next year. So that's just been a shift with us. So that's just an example of one of the fees that's been removed. A fee that's been added, and there was gymnastics. Gymnastics didn't exist until this year, so that's been added as an athletic fee. So outside of VSBA, that's the only one related to it.
I have, Dr. Nichols, I just
Yes,
had one observation in policy, GCGEB, the military leave and benefits. We identify somebody by their personal name as opposed to their position.
Okay.
So we should change that.
We will make that change.
Represent the position.
We should not have a person once. Unless they have a lifetime.
Yeah. I mean, we'd like them to be there forever.
Ms. Parker, we'll make that change to the position.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Policy revisions or changes? Mr. Miller, the Perkins grant, second read.
Mr. B, members of the board, this is second read for Perkins. Perkins, if you don't recall, is a grant to strengthen CTE programming. And so we get approximately, it's in there, I think it's around $40,000 to go towards Perkins, somewhere between 30 and 40. And we use that mostly for equipment for each of our courses. You'll notice that with that, the other attachment is a plan of study for JROTC. Every year when you submit your Perkins plan, you're required to revise one of your programs of study. And since we're adding JROTC anyway, it just seemed like the right one to pick for this year. And we worked with RCC to set that up. And it looks at what is the pathway both through high school as well as the post-grad and what are the opportunities for students. Happy to answer any questions.
The question on that JRTC is that with that program, maybe Dr. Nichols, you have with that. When that program is set up and we fund that position, how are we funding the course itself? Like for uniforms and for all of those things that are required to set the infrastructure of that program?
Yeah. So we are looking at places in the budget for some of those pieces. We also have some other schools that have offered to support us on some of that piece with some materials that they are no longer needing. And then, did we throw a fee in there?
That's why I was asking, was there because of uniforms and things of that, is there a fee associated with that?
For the startup, at least, you'll likely see a year-end transfer, or you'll see a transfer for us to start up a program.
Okay.
Not dissimilar to the band uniforms.
Well, that's why I was kind of comparing it to. Yeah.
For the single year, there'll be some startup fees associated. We'll tackle that through one-time costs outside of budget, and then we'll look at the fee piece. We will likely stand this program up not as full-time to start, because everybody will be in ROTC 1. So as we build it, those will expand, and we'll be able to build that in the budget.
Okay.
Good question.
Thank you. I was, yeah. Because I could just see, well, we need to come back to the table.
That is up for approval.
Yeah, thank you. Is that, one of the things I think that we're finding, even in some of our other meetings outside of this, it is, we see more and more with the integration of these programs like that and how it integrates with other organizations like Bridging Community and other things, and how the counties are going to have to help fund these outside programs outside of just saying this is your money for the school, because we find out how they integrate in so many other things that we're doing in the community. So thank you so much for that. Now to citizen comment period. Before we begin, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight to speak. Please note that the comments are limited to 3 minutes. Once the timer sounds, please promptly finish your comments and return to your seat. As customary for the school board not to make comments during the citizen comment period. Please make sure your contact information is provided on the sign-up sheet, and if you would like for someone to follow up with you. Again, thank you for the opportunity for everyone to come out. Our first speaker this evening is it Daphne Ray? Is that correct? Issues in the school. Thank you, Ms. Ray.
My name is Daphne Ray. I just want to thank you for the opportunity to come out and speak. I am here on the behalf of New Kent students, mainly the high school, as that is where I attend. I know I can't speak for all students with this, but I did take the liberty of surveying students throughout the school to compose a list of the following issues we found inside the school. We have bullying issues, dress code violations, lack of enforcing rules, language, lunches and allergy accommodations, the number of vapes and drugs, cleanliness, vandalism, inconsistency amongst rules, accessibilities for students who may need it, bathroom policy in between class time, mental health resources, and explicit content in books. We also started the student body to help fight against issues in December of 2022. It's now April and we still have not heard anything about that. I also wanted to present some direct examples we had of issues. We had a mirror inside of the toilet in the boys' bathroom one day. There was a skull drawn on the stall, the words "Creep Gang" above it in the girls' bathroom. A student with low blood sugar issues was denied the access to a vending machine with soda, which would help with the low blood sugar. That's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Ray.
Ms. Ray. can I have a copy of that, or can I make a copy? I wasn't keeping, trying. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker this evening is Miss English.
No, thank you for your service. I recently received a few phone calls from Wilma English from District 3 from parents regarding a play musical called Rent. To quote one of them, they said it was beyond woke. Another said offensive and uncomfortable. And they wanted to walk out but did not want their child to be singled out. They called me just to be their spokesperson so that I can bring some concerns. I did not attend. Last year I did. I love going to the plays and seeing the kids. I grew up in Manhattan, New York. I was born in New York, so we always went to Broadway. That was the way I grew up, so I have an interest in that. I wanted to ask your board members if any of you attended, and maybe your comments later on. Like I said, I did not go, so I cannot comment on particulars. I do have some questions, please, if you would be kind to answer them the next time. What is the selection process for the plays and musicals presented at New Kent? Just curious. Who chooses the plays and the musicals? Who is responsible for the selection? Is there any oversight by parents or school board members? What is the criteria for the selection? And are there any moral, ethical, and age-appropriate considerations? So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. English. Our next group, or our next person to speak is Campbell Prophet.
So these students are going to be there with the diversity and inclusion.
Each person can speak individually, and each person gets 3 minutes, and so we'll just speak in order, okay?
So you guys have a specific order that you're in?
Kind of,
Okay.
yeah. It's
Okay.
not the exact order that's up there, I apologize.
Oh, that's fine.
So just state your name.
Just state your name for the record,
Isaiah Carr.
okay?
While everyone is entitled to their opinions and feelings, the school should be a safe place. No one is trying to dictate what you do at home. Everyone should have the right to come to school and feel safe and be safe. We as a student body do not believe that the environment exists in New Kent High School. We are here today to talk about racism and sexual harassment.
Good evening, I'm Campbell Prophet. The NKCPS handbook states that discrimination against any race, sex, disability, etc. is not tolerated. Within the handbook, a table is listing different behavior, actions, and violations, and each is ranked on a scale from 1 to 5, with 5 being the most severe and 1 being the least severe. The violation of using slurs based upon actual or perceived race, ethnicity, color, national origin, citizenship, immigration status, weight, gender, gender identity, gender expression, sexual orientation, or disability is ranked a 3 out of 5. Another violation ranked as 3 out of 5 is failure to respond to questions by staff and violation of school board policy regarding the possession of portable communication devices, aka cell phones. Granted, responding and answering staff is important and should not be taken lightly, but to make it the same weight as racial discrimination is irrational. In no way, shape, or form are those two violations equal, and they should not be handled the same way. This leads to the belief that these racist, homophobic, and bigoted actions that are occurring not receiving the proper and severe punishment that they should.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kylie Stokes, and while in the handbook, discrimination is addressed, and they do list some sort of punishment that you will receive if you are, caught doing these actions. I personally have witnessed them not being upheld within the school. Just this school year, I have experienced an immense amount of racial discrimination, and I sit in silence and kind of let it roll off. But it is very upsetting to see it happen to other people, especially other people who might not have as thick of skin as me and can't take those, and they shouldn't have to suck it up pretty much and stay silent about it. They should feel comfortable enough to go to admin about it and know that those situations will get handled. And I know for me, I only feel comfortable going to Ms. James because I feel like she's the only one who would really understand where I'm coming from and will be the only one to take it seriously and actually enforce a punishment. And that shouldn't be fair. It should be across the board enforced that these sayings and these words and these emotions and inflictions upon people just because of their race, their sexuality, whatever it may be, should not be there. And for going to school, you're there to learn and to gain social skills to help you further in life. And when you're constantly dividing people and isolating people because of something that may be different, you're missing out and you're also hurting a lot of people. So I have a list of a few incidents that have happened just with me being in high school. First, starting with one of the biggest ones that made the local news in 2019, where a student wrote on a note, "Go home," in word with the hard ER, and was passing it around to lunch. I vividly remember this, and I was distraught because I had never seen something like that. And the reaction was mixed. You know, a lot of people praised the student for doing it, and I was like, that's not cool, it's not okay, and it should be addressed. And I'm not really sure whether it was addressed or not, but that was one incident I very vividly remember. And then last year, when a student found a similar note in her book bag, and when told her teacher, I heard this with my own 2 ears, the teacher said, "You're Black and you can, what do you expect?" And that made my jaw drop because it doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't matter what you look like. If you are presented with a situation like that, you should know and feel comfortable that the higher ups will properly handle the situation. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
She's coming back.
I'm back.
Well, hold on, wait a second. Are you speaking for someone?
We are speaking for behalf of just what we.
Well, the last person that was listed is Marcus, is that right?
He is not here. He was unable to get off of work.
Well, Marcus is the only one who's listed that is able to speak based on the protocol of following a person.
But Campbell didn't use her full 3 minutes either.
Okay. Are you speaking on the behalf?
We're speaking for behalf of the students of Newkent High School.
Okay. I'll defer to the board. Does the board?
I would say give her 3 minutes.
Well, we have Marcus's name and Marcus is not here, so we can't speak for Marcus.
Yeah.
But
You have those comments if we can.
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
Oh, you have Marcus's. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I'm just going to put a note that you're speaking on the behalf. Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
Alright. Sexual harassment is another issue that's commonly swept under the rug. I myself see this in my school alone, like borderline every day. Students are left scared to report the incidents because after the assaulter is punished, they are left unprotected. Students are also weary of reporting sexual assault issues due to the procedure that they have to go to report it. Students have quoted saying "I don't really know who trusts or watches me." That's a sad statement. It's like living the assault all over again. Quoted again. Students feel unheard because all the person they tell is the teacher they trust, but that teacher can't even do anything unless the student reports it to guidance, and we are back to the original problem. It also doesn't help that when students and teachers tell female students that they have no self-respect because they are just slowing the set of fitting stomach. We understand that this is against the dress code, but does not make verbal assault warranted.
Thank you. Again, I want to thank everyone on the behalf of the school board for their comments, and we will definitely take all of your comments under advisement. And our typical policy is at the next school board meeting, Dr. Nichols will address the comments that were spoken this evening. So again, thank you so much for your comments. Board, to our action items this evening. Our first action item is consider the approval of superintendent's 23-24 recommended operating and CIP budget. Do I hear a motion to approve the superintendent's recommended operating and CIP budget as presented?
I move that we approve the superintendent's proposed fiscal year 23-24 budget as presented.
Or a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? If there is no discussion, we'll take a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item in 7B, consider approval of the VSBA policy revision. Do I hear a motion to approve the VSBA policy revision as presented with the change that Mrs. Barbara brought forward? Do I hear a motion?
I move we approve the VSBA policy revisions as amended.
Do I hear a second?
A second.
Any discussion? If there is no discussion, then we will vote. All in favor of the VSB policy revisions as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is passed. The next approval is the consideration for the approval of the Perkins Grant. Do I hear a motion to approve the Perkins Grant as presented?
I make a motion that we approve the Perkins grant as presented.
Or a second?
I second.
Any discussion? If there is no discussion, then we'll take a vote. All in favor of the Perkins Grant as presented, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Perkins Grant motion is approved. Now we'll go to comments. We'll start with Ms. Barbara and we will work this way. Ms. Barbara?
All right. Really appreciate the number of student speakers we had this evening. I think that's very, very admirable for each and every one of you to come and speak to us and share your concerns. That is a great opportunity for us to understand your concerns. Again, I want to express my appreciation of all the effort that's gone into everything this spring, especially the budget and working through those exercises, and optimistic that we will get good news from the state and be able to make just adjustments in a positive direction. And that is it for me.
Ms. Staskell?
I too would like to thank the students for coming and speaking, and it's always nice and refreshing to hear firsthand from students things that are bothering you, and we hope to be able to implement good change for students in our schools. I also would like to say how overjoyed I was today at Mr. Augenbach's recognition, well-deserved. That was tremendous, and I'm just so proud of New Kent. I'm proud of the things that we're doing to move the county forward, move the schools forward, and we shouldn't stop looking for ways that we can improve. So, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Winford?
I too will echo that it was nice to hear from our students this evening, as well as Miss English, Daphne, Campbell, Isaiah. I'm used to seeing you on the basketball court, so it's nice to see you here. Kaya and Marcus. So you've definitely given us something to think about, and we will. So please know that that we will follow up accordingly and get back with appropriate answers and actions. So it's good to hear from you. We're here for you, so it's nice to hear from you. Again, we had a great presentation this morning with our teacher of the region. It was nice to award Mr. Augenbach and to welcome Dr. Coons on her first day in her new position. So it was a nice representation for New Kent County Public Schools, particularly at the high school. So it was just a really well done event. I know that took a lot of effort, so I thank everybody that was involved. I know that doesn't just happen overnight. So my thanks and appreciation to everybody that put that event on this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. McGee?
Thank you. And yes, certainly appreciate you stepping up and sharing your thoughts, concerns, and issues with the board. I truly appreciate it. Also like to thank and congratulate Mr. Augenbach on his award. That is wonderful, and hopefully we'll see some statewide recognition. So. Couple things I'd like to just update. The New Kent Striders Strides for School
Strides for
will be
Schools,
held.
yeah.
Will be held on Saturday, April 29th at 8 a.m. It features a fun run and a 5K at Colonial Downs. Signups are still being accepted through the New Kent website. The proceeds support our teachers through instructional grants and student scholarships as well as other projects. So hope to see everyone out there. I would also like to start by saying that representing District 5 on the New Kent County School Board has been a tremendous honor and privilege. I've enjoyed serving our community, families, students, and schools. And I have recently decided that I will run for re-election serving District 5 in the fall. And just to give our folks in attendance tonight a little bit about my background and upbringing. Both of my parents were educators. My mother served as the assistant superintendent of the Columbus Public Schools in Columbus, Ohio, and my father was a history teacher and coached track and football. My husband and I raised our 2 daughters who have since graduated from college, and we were involved parents and truly enjoyed playing a role in our children's education. Educating our children is one of the most important things that we can do as a community. And it gives me so much incredible pride to see our students who graduate in June continue their chosen path in life's journey, whether it's higher education, a technical trade, vocation, military, or direct to work. In fact, our on-time graduation rate in 2022 was 94%, and I'm sure that's going to get better. And this is above the statewide graduation rate. I also firmly believe that our classrooms should not be battlegrounds for politics and culture war issues. Efforts by political parties, whether it be Republican or Democrat, should have no place on our school boards or in our local school board elections. Any attempts to disguise this effort should be recognized for what it is, a pure partisan ploy to focus on a political agenda, all at our children's expense. In summary, I represent an independent, common sense approach to education in our school system. I look forward to engaging with our District 5 families and community and continuing the pathway to educational success for students in New Kent County. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McBee. Dr. Nichols?
Thank you, Mr. Mead. I got a chance to speak quite a bit on the front end, so I'll be very brief. I also want to thank our students for coming out. I'm not sure they know what I do with the other part of my life, so they see me in the school piece, but there's also a school board piece as well, so really do appreciate the feedback and look forward to working through with it. We did represented New Kent well, did a phenomenal job talking in front of a very formal meeting with formal official rules too. Great day, started fourth mark period, Mr. Achenbach, excited about that. I do want to, in addition to Strides for Schools, which we do have a couple of actors, so if you've been on Facebook recently, there is a Strides for Schools video, and a couple people in this room make an appearance, and Ross Miller's, of course, the star of the show on that, but we're looking forward to that on the 29th. Even if you can't run, come out and hang out with us. We'll be at Colonial Downs. You get to run on the track where the horses run, so it's a lot of fun. Want to say a special thank you to Ashley Meredith and the technology team. They continue to find ways to communicate awesome kids. A lot of times, kids who have difficulties get more attention than kids who are just really doing awesome work. So the team has come up with, and I believe Campbell is part of this too, is one of our interns, the Senior Saturday Spotlight. So every Saturday we push out a senior and their plans for the future. So it's all around the 3 E's, whether you're going to be enrolled post-secondary, employed directly coming out, or enlisting. So this last Saturday was none other than Fisher Mallory, who will be employed coming out of high school, and guess who his employer is going to be? New Kent County Public Schools. He's been working with our technology team as an intern, so we're creating our own pathways for kids to be employed. So look for that on Saturdays. It's a great reminder of awesome kids and great adults. So thank you, Mr. Mead.
Thank you, Dr. Nichols, and thank you, board, for all of your hard work and your your perseverance through so many challenges over the last few years. And I do really, I want to thank Ms. McBeath for her passion and her service, and I appreciate you continuing to serve, and all the other board members as well. You know, I'm probably, after hearing the students this evening, I'm probably a little bit more, and I'll just be honest with you, I'm a little bit more irritated than probably most meetings, because when I hear that kind of feedback, it makes me want to say I'm sorry, because we as adults, as leaders, as people who are responsible for the education of our students, we need to take it to the next level and be that serious about it. And I would encourage all of you, especially you folks that spoke this evening. When you run into an incident at school that makes you feel uncomfortable, or you see something, do an incredible job of documenting, okay? Of who you talked to, what you saw, what the comments were, what day it was, what time it was. And I can assure you this, and I know that Dr. Nichols would echo this as well. I can assure you that those people will be held accountable, and those people will be confronted with whatever comments they make to our students, because it needs to be done. And I can tell you, as a school board, I know I can't speak for the other members, but I would assure you that we would all conclude is that if the proper documentation is there to support everything that you say that happens, then those people will be held accountable to that level. And it needs to be. That's just the way the system should work. We need to hold the adults accountable to the same level we hold the students accountable to. And so from that perspective, I thank you for the dialogue that you have represented this evening, and believe me, it doesn't fall on deaf ears. So I am grateful for that. And again, I want to say to Haney and her team, financially, it is an uphill battle because of funding, and from the county and from the state. And so thank you for all your diligence and hard work for your team of making that happen, and to our educators who do a great job every single day. You know, the Strides for School, I'm excited about that. I'm actually going to do the invocation that morning, and it'll be a great opportunity to support our school divisions as well. But I want to thank everyone so much for all of your effort. Miss English, thank you for your comments. You know, I think it's something that we definitely have to have a conversation about, and we have to look at and look at those processes and procedures, and I'm sure based on your comments, we will definitely look into that and how we can be as proactive as possibly can to address all of that. So in saying all of those comments, our next meeting will be scheduled for Monday, May 1st, 2023 at 5:30 p.m. the New Kent County Administration Building Boardroom. And with that, our meeting is adjourned at 6:37 p.m.